Pathfinder has been described as heroic fantasy. Characters are they're sort of naturally very strong. Though of course that's it depends on what you're attacking or who you're dealing with. But the idea is that like because you have this level this level number that gets added to your proficiency modifier, that things just sort of lose. Like if you're like a level 7 or so character, stuff that was a challenge when you were level 1 or level 2 don't just become easier, but they become negligible, right? These are not. You can brush off those attacks as if they were nothing. The wolves you were fighting, the goblins you were fighting, these things just kind of, they don't matter to you anymore.
Yeah.
You become really strong. You become, godlike. And at the same time, right, conversely, you would have bosses, dragons, these creatures that are quite literally like invincible until you enter this sort of predetermined number of skill, at which point you would be able to tackle them. You said originally that the concept of adding level to balance wasn't to your taste, and presumably something changed your mind.
Yeah.
Did you talk a little bit more about like what changed your mind, or what was the big eureka for you for that?
I didn't have a single eureka moment. For me, first of all, there is a okay, let me answer that question first. I think that it's key to the encounter building system to have level be part of the PC's math, so that it's possible to have an encounter building system that's reliable. Because there's a significant difference. I think it's like a 15%. If you were to look at DPR, it's like a 15% increase every +1 you have. That's a guesstimate of what it is.
I thought it was 10, maybe. It was 10.
I'm almost certain it's higher than 10%.
Okay.
It means that it's kind of I don't know, it's intuitive. Yeah, you stretch the difference because of the +10 -10 crit system. You increase the difference between level a certain level and the level higher to it. That's true for the PCs and for the monsters. It gives that combined with the higher number of rolls, the sheer number higher level of rolls you see in a Pathfinder 2 combat, means there's more stability to the ultimate outcome of a fight. When you say, oh, this fight is going to be severe, if you're the GM. So that means it will feel difficult, but the party's success is assured if they are smart about it. You need to have that differentiation. Now, Pathfinder 2E, theoretically, that's not necessary to add level to proficiency, because Pathfinder also has the proficiency without level variant, where you don't add that level, and it's just a more shallow increase of power for creatures as you level up. It's still predictable though, because Pathfinder also has statted out what the expected damage levels are and AC. Sorry. Yeah, and there's still some gradual improvement in, even if you subtract level from the creature building charts in the Game Mastery Guide, there is still a gradual increase in basic statistics. So they're able to make it predictable what the power level of creatures of a certain level are. So that's inseparable from that. That's a necessary part of that. So I came to accept that, and the other part was that, okay, I was like, you can say I was of two minds. I liked the idea in theory that you can throw goblins at a higher level party and run and have a kind of more sandboxy campaign where the party can not only encounter at high level goblins and it would be tense in some way, but also that they can encounter a dragon before they're ready and they're not completely destroyed. I the other thing though, I just realized in the end though, I like the idea, and I think many people do like the idea of conquering, getting more powerful, getting measurably more powerful than you were before, of being able to trivialize some things that were a challenge before. You know, that ogre used to be a boss monster, but now you can handle 10 of them, no problem.
And you find that mechanically compelling, narratively compelling, or both?
It's cool. Both, I suppose. I don't know if it's narratively compelling. It's just cool. It's satisfying. Mm-hmm. And I would say that the idea that in 5e or some other system that goblins can threaten a high-level party is not always true. I mean, a fireball spell by a level 5 party can, actually destroy that. So I think it's overstated, like the actual ability of 5e to accommodate that. I think that there still is a huge increase in power as you level up. It's just that it's more punctuated and a little more unwieldy.
So let me
at level 5, everybody knows.
Let me slap back a little bit, Ronald. Let me slap back a little bit on that one.
Okay.
Fireball could always have killed those goblins, right? Level 1 or level 10 or level 20.
But you're not going to have it at level 1.
Correct. You could. You can have scrolls. You can have a big bad guy do it. You might be trying to learn, narratively speaking, your wizard might be trying to learn that spell to kill goblins. And so when he learns the spell, now he can kill goblins. So narratively speaking, right, like the concept is Fireball exists as a spell in the world. And everyone understands its power. It's a goblin killer. It's a people killer. It kills everything. It's really strong. So when you get it, it kills people. It's really strong.
Yep.
But the goblins can also get obviously the fireball spell, but they can hit you. Like the main thing is what I find very. So let me back away. Let me back up. Mechanically speaking, Pathfinder's level addition to proficiency is perfect. Because mechanically speaking, if you're looking at a tabletop game, you're looking at a video game, if you're looking at like you want to design a system that's perfect so that every encounter you can excellently calculate its difficulty. Like there's no other way to do it. It's excellent. Right. But narratively speaking, I struggle a lot with it. The struggle that I have is these made up scenarios in my head that I'm saying made up now to be sheepish, but they do happen. In a lot of D&D adventures, they do happen where you encounter characters and you deal with characters that are much lower level or higher level than you. You might be speaking to a dragon in disguise. You might be speaking to a high level adventurer that now retired and runs a tavern. I find it, narratively speaking, to be very problematic finding myself in those situations where this guy that is just retired and runs a bar, the tavern, could quite literally slay the entire town. You could summon the entire militia, 100-person, strong. A guy could take them, all of them. It wouldn't be a problem, right? They wouldn't hit him. You could throw you could throw an arrow at this guy, and somehow he just deflects it. He would deal enough damage to just like split his character in half. Every guard in half. Same thing. And then conversely, right? Like you get too strong that the goblins literally can't hit you. I guess maybe if they roll like a nat 20, right? That's an auto hit, right? Yeah. Narratively speaking, I struggle a lot with that. making sense of it. And obviously you can reskin characters. You can like, okay, well, if he had his level 20 stat, then he would do that. But I don't have to have him have those stats, you know. I can have him just be a +4 just for the sake of this encounter. You can always homebrew, right, and fix those issues,
Or use the proficiency without level variant.
or use that, right? Though this is more of a criticism of the core, because you can just solve all those problems by just doing that.
Yeah, well, I think that one, there's a proficiency without level variant. Also, you should be Well, there's also I don't know if you know about troops in Pathfinder 2E.
I don't. This is why I want to have these conversations with you, because this probably answers to my concerns. You know?
Yeah, this would have been like a very frequent comment in your video. Hold on.
My bad.
Okay, 2E troops. Let's look at something. City Guard Squadron. That's a monster. It's a level 5 monster, but it represents a lot of commoners. Let me think.
And say, what level you said it was?
It's level 5.
Ah, okay. Now we're talking.
These were introduced in Bestiary 3.
Okay.
But it provides the ability for you to have lots of lower level creatures in the narrative engage a higher level creature.
Oh, hell yeah.
You should see the mechanics of it.
Yeah, I see. They have like troop defenses form up. They have some abilities, maybe.
Yeah, and has
City Guard Squadron,
interesting mechanics like area attacks do more damage than one attacks on a single creature. And also under troop defenses, there's some important rules there about how they take up 16 squares, and that gets smaller and smaller as you whittle away its hit points. And so anyway, that exists, but the math for them is higher. These would probably be individually level -1 city guards, but when they're combined, their discipline, their all of that.
Assumably, there's like a sergeant in there, like helping them out, and it's a whole thing. No, this is good. This actually would solve some of that. I mean, at least the goofy kind of like, the one goofy example of the one guy just taking on a whole city. This would solve that problem for sure. There's, there's still some narrative issues, right? I see, but this comes also personally with like, I really dislike the idea that
hit points don't necessarily mean you're killing them, but it's their morale. It's like they disperse. Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, we also have different concepts, I guess, because like you like that, like you like it that you would fight, these just ogres or giants, and at the beginning of the game, and they would be like bosses and really difficult, but then you're slaying 10 of them at the same time, right? Later on, like I guess that we disagree hard on that. I guess being cool. So it just comes down to different things, but like the fact that like you can just remove level, from proficiency, that kind of solves that
to a degree, because there still is level differences. I mean, I think that.
Wait, to what degree? What do you mean?
If you look at the proficiency without level variant, there still is there's a chart there showing that higher level creatures have a numerical representation.
I mean, but that's also like in D&D, right? Like a high CR monster versus like a low CR monster, right?
Yeah.
Or
what I'm saying is that removing the level still means that, I mean, this chart, it says you can use creatures 7 levels below the party, but the party will at some point be so high level that the ogre is not going to be.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, no, because my concern, like, that's expected. Like, you're going to get stronger. For sure. My big concern with the level is just how it's the invincibility aspect of it. For example, like, there's no way that a goblin can hit you if you have level added to your AC. There's literally no way that it can hit you, and that's what I don't like. In 5th edition, that goblin that is like a CR 1/4, that you would fight 4 of at level 1, if you're level 10, like they can still hit you. Like you're gonna have like 18 AC. The goblins have like a +4, +5 to hit. All they have to do is like roll at 13. Like, they'll hit you.
Yeah.
And so
I would
that's
say that's narratively better, but maybe mechanically less satisfying because your higher level in 5e is more represented by your number of hit points, right? When you
Yes.
say, so it means that those goblins, if you're high enough level, they kind of can't really challenge you.
No, but yeah, they're not meant to. They're not meant to like kill you, or challenge you really.
But the system gives
But
you
you
that
could,
feedback through like 6 rounds of combat, whereas 2e tells you in the first attack roll this was not meant to be. And anyway, I think that might feel more like a slog, like how when a party encounters what's a lot of 5e players call a bag of hit points, like it kind of leads to that. It's like the hit points are inflated compared to how much damage you do. That's how 5e represents higher power.
I happen to be one of those that like really enjoys D&D. So like, because there's a lot of people that are like, they've been playing D&D because that's the one game, right? Like that's the game they knew. That's the game that their friends played, but maybe they just never liked it and they had issues with it and they were looking for other things, right? I've never been that guy. Like I love D&D. So because I'm not necessarily on the lookout for a different system, and because I'm a homebrewer at heart too, like I found my own ways to contend with like the bullshit that D&D has, and there's a lot of bullshit that D&D has. But so because of that, I do have a fair amount of reservations of just how things are done.
Yeah.
But I mean, as a system, like it has advantages, and the advantages are great. It's really fun. I mean, just being mechanically perfect allows for a style of game that I love. Just being like,
wait, are you talking
tactical.
about which system? Oh, Pathfinder. Okay.
Yeah, like the fact that you can be very like you could. I just imagine like gathering with people that like understand these games, making a group of 4, and just like playing through severe encounters. That sounds like a lot of fun. Just like really getting deep into like. Maybe not caring as much about the narrative. I'm a big narrative guy, which is most of my concerns with Pathfinder just are narrative situations.
Yeah.
The fact that a dungeon master has to tell you, nope, you have to buy that rune at level 4. Otherwise, you're going to suck and the team is going to hate you and you're going to die. It's like, fuck, like I don't, it's like stuff like that from a narrative.
On that,
like,
about the automatic bonus progression?
Yeah. There's like optional.
Okay.
Yeah, rules. Yeah, for sure. But stuff like that in the ogre example, I don't want to kill 10 ogres with one swing, man. Like that doesn't make any sense. They're they're like twice as tall as me and they're strong and like I don't know. So like I come from this like stupid like narrative angle that I like the stories. But I also like the mechanics. I love the combat, but I needed to make logical because I am that player that I just go, wait, how does that make any sense? Wait, how much can you bench press ogre? Like, why can't I just punch you and you fall? I don't understand. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and the counter, of course, to you is this is a fantasy game, and
no, that doesn't
not
work
everything
for me.
has to make sense.
That doesn't work for me at all. I don't know.
And fireball killing a bunch of people, like that's
but that makes sense to me.
Yeah, but then shouldn't marshals have their own fun and da-da-da? Anyway, there's these things that.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's preference is all I'm saying, and
for sure.
I would also counter that D&D does have a huge power difference that many D&D players, not all, and not necessarily you, of course, enjoy the idea of getting more powerful and that there is a at a certain level in 5e, if the players are shrewd enough with the system, it's very hard to challenge that party. And And some would say that's the narrative disconnect. You know, that it's not, you know, it's hard to find ways to challenge a 5e party. That a level 13 party, as written in Descent into Avernus, can take on a demon lord, I think.
Yeah, theoretically speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I would argue is that Pathfinder does not pretend to...
But let me put it this way, before you go any further, right? Pathfinder writes better adventures than 5th edition does. So that's like, I've always agreed with that, because like I do think that that's dumb. There are some real... I'll put it this way: the monster manual sucks. For 5th edition monster manual is fucking terrible. The way they balance monsters is absolutely atrocious. I don't know. They have rules for what monster stats should look like for every challenge rating, and they don't follow it.
Yeah, they don't.
It's weird. I don't get it. They have really dropped the ball on that one. I don't know. But I mean, you know, there are issues with narrative for sure in D&D. There are ways in which you can like abuse spells like Shield, which grants you a +5 to AC, which is crazy, regardless of whether you already have plate armor and a shield, like a physical shield. And that makes it very narratively dumb that you just cannot be hurt, and that has happened to me before.
Yeah. Just on the issue of I think Pathfinder whereas in 5e it's more it's what's the word? 5e also has huge differences in power between monsters and PCs. And that once you get to a certain level in 5e, it's hard to challenge the party because the party is now super powerful. And I think that Pathfinder's... You're saying it's not true. Well,
I'm saying that like, you can always like a dungeon master can challenge any party. It depends on like how you're limiting yourself, right? Like if you're saying that.
Let me just say one point though, that in Pathfinder, it's worked out. There's a system for the GM to, it's engineered. I'm not going to avoid using that word, so that you are able to it just admits there's going to be huge power levels between things. Some things will be able to not be able to hit a high level creature, and and Fireball is going to destroy a crowd, and we're just going to give the tools to run that system, to serve that gameplay.
So Pathfinder is perfect in telling you exactly how to get those challenges to be just right. Mechanically, Pathfinder is way better than D&D in that way. But I mean, if you understand D&D, you can challenge players. You just have to you definitely have to understand it, and you have to engineer it. You have to know what the party composition is, what your players can do, and then you have to prep the encounters so as to challenge it. You have to do more work, a lot more work,
and have a high skill level. Treant Monk has a stream where he does a level 20 one shot with other folks, and it goes fine. He's able to, provide a proper challenge. I would say though, my criticism of that stream is that it's not of him, but of the system. It's all, the challenges are not that he creates. It's like puzzle encounters. He has to depart from what the system has created and laid out in terms of, the usual ways the combat is expected to be resolved in 5e. That the system doesn't support it. He has to build on top of and beside the system to provide the challenge.